All right, my friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm Brian, and in today's video, we're gonna be talking about computer hardware and my mobile office setup that I carry with me as I travel, live, and work abroad. Now, I'm sharing this with you today to show you what I carry that fits my computing needs, everything from my video editing to my day trading, or really any digital work that I need to perform online or on my laptop. So let's go ahead and get into it here. Now, a question that tends to come up often is people are asking me about computer hardware. They're like, hey, can I buy a laptop there? Can I buy a monitor? And here in the Philippines and pretty much most places nowadays abroad, the short answer is yes, you can get just about everything. For example, my desk setup here, my 32-inch MSI computer monitor, the swing arm, the laptop tray, my all-in-one printer from Brothers, all these things I purchased here in the Philippines. Now the hardware kit that I'm going to show you today that's here in my bag, most of this I purchased back in the United States long before I even moved here because I've been working on the road and traveling a lot throughout the US for many, many years. I've done remote work a lot, so I kind of been really optimizing my setup here. So my hope here is that this gives you, the tips that I'm going to provide you with and the hardware options, gives you kind of an idea of what you may have for your own digital needs, and kind of what, like I said, I have found that has worked for me over many years of working remotely. All right, so normally my laptop is, let me pop this down here. My laptop is sitting right over here on this laptop tray, which is connected to my desk setup. And I'll show you this setup at the end of how I actually can very easily make connections. Just come in, drop my laptop, and I'll be set up. But for now, let's go ahead and get started with the main travel setup, which all fits actually in this Timbuk2 messenger bag. And this is key. Now, starting with the bag itself, I have been using Timbuk2 messenger bags for something like 25 years plus now. I mean, I've been using these bags for a long time. This one I purchased here about a year and a half ago, and this is the classic style messenger bag. It's called the Large Classic. It fits my 16-inch laptop absolutely perfectly, and I've got a laptop sleeve in here. And this bag also, if you take a look at this, this fits spectacularly in my the hard top box case in the back of my motorbike. It fits absolutely perfectly. I mean, I still have room in here for more gear. It's protected, it's locked when I'm traveling, and when I arrive at my destination, I can just grab it and go, and all my gear is in one place, so it makes it super convenient. And the same thing when I'm traveling on airports, I can do the same. All right, so one other item that I actually travel with a lot is, let me grab my glasses here, is this little mouse pad. I tend to travel with these mouse pads a lot. In fact, I've got one here on my desk, and if you see some of my other videos, I have a large one that fits this table. And this is just a simple, they call it a gaming, what's that? A gaming mouse pad. That's the word of it. I'm trying to get it out of my mouth there. But it's basically, it's got this rubberized back, so it once you put it on a table, it's not going anywhere. And it makes it really nice for a couple of reasons. One, I like it on my wrists. The other thing is it gives me a good surface to use an external mouse. But beyond that, a lot of Airbnbs I tend to stay in, and even some hotels, they have this tendency to use a lot of glass tables. And even if it's like a glass on black, sometimes when you're actually running the mouse over top of that surface, it can get some false signals, especially if it's just a straight clear glass table. Sometimes you're just not gonna be able to use your mouse. So I travel with these often, and in fact, I don't keep this in my bag. I just kind of fold it up here, throw it in with my t-shirts, and that just comes with me just in my regular kind of carry-on. So, and the other thing I tend to carry, and I mentioned this in another video for my everyday carry stuff, is I will always have me a small umbrella. So and I'll show you this, how I have this packed up. When I'm going locally to like a Starbucks or something like that, I have one bag in here I'll pull out, and I'll usually just throw in my umbrella in this bag, and then I'll be all set to go. All right, my friends, so let's go ahead and unpack this, and I'll show you exactly the hardware I have set up in here. All right, so I am a big fan of these little organizing bags, and I use these a lot. Not only here in my Timbuk2 bag, but I use these pretty much for everything. And you can find these on Amazon. You can find them here locally in the Philippines, Lazada, Shopee, all the places. I even found these basically at the mall sitting on the shelf. So these are extremely common, and they're just little electronic bags, and I'll show you exactly what's in each one of these. And then I've got my main laptop set up. But here's what I'm talking about with the Timbuk2 bag. It's, again, just really thin. I've got a few pens in here. you know, some tissue in a front pocket. But when this guy is empty, it's floppy and it's lightweight, super lightweight, protected from the elements. So this is why I like using these bags a lot. All right, I'm gonna kick this over here and let's take a look at what we have. All right, so I've got my main laptop, and I'll show you this inside of basically a protective sleeve right here. Now this blue case, this is actually part of my mobile office. Well, let's go ahead and start with this one. This is my gray bag. This is my hotel and Airbnb electronics bag, and it's my catch-all bag. I actually have some extra space in here that I can use. You know, I can put in action cameras, my 360 camera for my motorbike. I've got a lot of extra gear in here that I can, or like extra space in here that I can put extra gear. So I tend not to overpack these, so they kind of squish down a little bit too. But these soft-sided bags that, you know, they got nice velvet protection inside, I just really like them a lot. All right, so the first thing I keep in my, my little Airbnb hotel bag, and this is gonna probably make you laugh a little bit, but I used to full-time RV a lot, and in my motor coaches and stuff, I actually found these to be really helpful. And this is a little bug zapper. It's just plug in the wall, little tiny bug zapper, and it's not gonna get your big flies and stuff like that, but for mosquitoes, for any kind of like little fruit flies or something, like really tiny, those little gnats or something, this works spectacular. I don't know why, but I've been using these for many, many years, and I carry one of them now in my bag. So if I go to a hotel, especially like an Airbnb, that I open up all the windows, and here in the Philippines, there's not a lot of screens on windows and stuff. So you open a place up, you close the night, you're probably gonna get some bugs in there, especially you don't want to be, you know, being woken up by that mosquito buzzing you in the ear. So I use this a lot. So that's one item I do travel with. It's super cheap, but it gets the job done, okay? A couple other things is I have, you know, a couple different adapters. I was just in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, so I've got a power adapter that I had in here. And then I've got this guy, and this is crucial. And this is something you need to add to your bag. It's just a simple 3-in-1 plug. So one plug, 3 different outlets. It's small, it's convenient, and I actually have a few of these in different bags and stuff, and they just come in handy. It's just something I can highly recommend. All right, another thing I travel with, and this is kind of a big one, and I've been doing this now for well over 10 years, is I travel with an Amazon Fire Stick. That's a key one for me. I've got all the extra cables, batteries, I've got the remote. So the remote, I carry the batteries with it. I got the little extender, the HDMI extender on the back, the little USB power dongle, the USB cable for it. So I carry an entire kit of Amazon Fire Stick, because here's the thing. When I get to a hotel, when I get to basically an Airbnb, instead of actually trying to log in to all their devices and then sometimes forgetting to log out when you leave, and then you got to go onto your account and do that, to me, carrying a Fire Stick just gives me that sense of just that stability. Basically, I go in any place I go, almost all the time. In fact, I think it's only happened to me one time where they had a TV mounted so flush against this area you couldn't get your hand behind there. But most hotels, everything else, they're going to have some sort of a, you know, a hinge or something. You just turn it over, plug in your HDMI port. Select is usually like HDMI 2 or 3 or something like that, and basically it just boots up, and then I just put in the password for the hotel or whatever I need to, and I'm up and running. It works really well. And another reason why I bring up this this little power adapter is when you're, again, at a hotel, there's usually only one plug behind the TV. You know, sometimes it's just that one single plug, they have the TV plugged into it, or maybe it's the TV in another box and it's already taken up. That's why these come in handy, because now I can just plug in a little USB adapter, I can plug in the TV or anything else, and I'm back in business. I'm not having to sit there and trying to find extension cables or anything else. These little adapters are golden. You really want to use them. All right, so the rest of my kit here basically is I just got a couple extra little cables and stuff. And really the important part and the key part of this whole bag is right here. This, push this to the side for a second. This is a GL Net. That's the brand GL-Net or something. But this is a Wi-Fi 6 travel portable router. And this is the little power dongle for it that you just plug into the wall. It's USB-C. But what's nice about this is this guy will actually run the USB-C off of a power brick as well. But this is what is really critical for me that I found when I'm traveling, because what it basically has, it's your your standard router that you're going to have like at home or something like that. But there's a couple other bonuses to this. Number one, it's got a built-in firewall for it, so it gives me that extra layer of security. The other thing I love about this is it has a built-in VPN setup. So I use NordVPN as my VPN provider. And this, I have the credentials and everything plugged into this, and it's really nice because now when I just boot up my laptop, I'll connect to this, and I'll connect this to a Airbnb, I'll connect this to a hotel. So my laptop has an extra layer of security. And what's also nice is all my devices already have the password and everything for this guy in there, so I can connect multiple devices to that one connection here. And it has come up in the past where I've checked into hotels and they're like, you can only connect one device, and they try to charge you for more devices. Well, by connecting this as the single device, I can now connect my iPad, my phone, my laptop, and any other devices, my Fire Stick, anything I want to, I can connect now to this, and this ports directly into that single connection. So technically, everything's fine. So that's just something that I highly recommend. And it's kind of a point of pride for me is my laptop has never touched a public network. It has never touched a coffee shop or anything. I either use a hotspot on my phone, I use my travel router, and then if I'm in a more secure corporate building or something on their Wi-Fi, I'll connect to that. But they've already have layers of security. But for public Wi-Fi, anything like a coffee shop or an airport or something, this laptop's never touched it, and that's just kind of something I'm very aware of from my own digital security perspective. All right, enough of that. So let me go ahead and get this repacked, and I'll put this aside. All right, got that guy repacked. Let's pop him off to the side for a second, and let's dig into the big one. All right, next, we will come back to this case, kind of doing some shifting around here, but this is my core mobile setup. Pop this right on here. I think I only need those right now, but I've got two things here. So basically, my core mobile setup is this. I have the laptop inside this protective sleeve. It's just basically, the actual brand is Amazon Basics, and I bought this again years ago. It's just a neoprene, kind of squishy protective sleeve. And then I have not only just my Legion Slim laptop, which I'll go into in a moment, but I also have a portable monitor I carry with me, and the form factor is absolutely perfect. They fit perfectly together. All right, and this is something I actually spent a lot of time measuring out down to the basically millimeter. I'm like, okay, how does this guy can fit? And it came out better than expected. So these two setups right here fit just perfectly inside the sleeve, and it's almost like carrying around a thick laptop. But the nice part is I get two screens out of it, and I'll go ahead and share that with you here in a second. All right, for my main laptop, I'm using the Lenovo Legion Slim 7i. It's a 16-inch laptop. It has a RTX 4060 NVIDIA graphics card, the laptop version of the 4060 graphics card that has 8 gigabits of graphics memory. It's running the Intel Gen 13 i7 processor. It's got 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM that I expanded. It had 16, I expanded 32. It's got 2 M.2 solid-state drives in here, and that's totaling 3 terabytes of storage space. So yeah, this laptop is a beast, and I bought it. I basically maxed it out, and it has been working fantastic now for 2 years. Now, one of the major selling points for me is this 16-inch display. This is a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. It is a 2K ISP anti-glare non-touch. I don't like touch screens. I don't want to get my fingerprints on there. It's 100% sRGB. It's got 500 nits of brightness. It's a 240 hertz panel. So it's bright, it's fast, it's accurate, color accurate. And it's exactly what I wanted, and it doesn't have the glare on it and everything for my primary monitor. So when I maxed out this laptop, the key for me was making sure I came with a really good screen. Now, along with this laptop, I also picked up this. This is a 2.5K ISP Slim 16-inch portable monitor. It is glossy. Not the biggest fan of that. It only has 400 nits of brightness, but it's a 144 hertz panel, so it's not as fast. But for a secondary monitor, this actually works fantastic, and it's a single USB cable for both power and data and everything that I connect to my laptop. So one cable, and I'll show you how this basically is set up with my mouse and everything. And this gives me two 16-inch 16:10 aspect ratio screens side by side to be on the road and have full capability to do any of the work that I really need to do. So the form factor, everything like I showed you before, how this all slides into the neoprene case, this is ideal. All right, next, let's go ahead and jump inside my mobile office, the blue bag here. Okay, so we got laptop, extra screen. Now what's in this little guy? All right, this is part of my mobile office. So I've got a power brick in here. I didn't have that zipped closed, but usually it's sitting right in here. Then I just got, you know, a bunch of extra cables, and then I've got a small 500 gigabyte SSD drive. So just some basic stuff, some thumb drives, you know, and some adapters and stuff. So that's what I have in this side. Really simple. And again, I've got extra space in here for extra cables and stuff. So I don't max everything out. But what's really important is the main compartment down here. And this is what I like. These two have separate zipping compartments. So here's my main compartment, and this is what's critical. So here's that one cable I have for the portable monitor. So I keep that in here. So this is it, one simple cable. And I'll come back to this cable in a second. Keep an extra pair of reading glasses in here. And another thing I keep, and this is critical for me, is my Bose QC35s. I know they're on the 45 series now. These are the 35s. I have been using Bose headphones going way back to the original Quiet Comfort series, the old silver ones, over-the-ear ones. So yeah, this is probably my third pair, maybe fourth pair of Bose headphones over the last few decades. But yeah, it's just, I've always been a fan. They work incredibly well. And for me to do any work, especially at coffee shops and stuff, you'll see me wearing these all the time. You know, I know a lot of people like to get earbuds and stuff, but for me, over the ear, comfortable, and I fly with these as well all the time, and just, it knocks out all the airplane noise. You got people yelling around you, just, it works really well. All right, next is a couple other little things. Is I always carry basically an MX Master 3. I'm very fond of these computer mice. In fact, I've got one here that I keep in my bag, and then on my desk setup, I have another one that I've got already pre-plugged in. So I have two of these, and they're not cheap, but you just, after a while, you get really comfortable with using these. And I do use the computer a lot, so this is why I have my little mouse pad. I use an external mouse all the time. Then I just, you know, a power dongle. I've got some microfiber cloths that I use to kind of clean the screens if I need to. And then just a big USB power brick. And then I bought this extra long cable, USB, that does match the power requirements that I need to pull for my laptop. Now, what's interesting with the Legion version of the laptops, they are gaming laptops. It actually comes with a very large power brick. And I have that actually sitting here on my desk setup. So the power brick, and that's what's going to use all the power available for you know, putting into that higher performance gaming mode. It's going to really push that 4060 to its max. You're going to need the power brick to max out the power of the laptop. When I'm on the road though, all right, the USB-C, this will still allow me to use the laptop at probably 70–80% of its capacity. It's just not going to push it all the way up. But both charging it and then just using this on a daily basis, this works really well. And a couple other things I want to point out here, and I've got one on here and I got a couple on here. And I'll point these out, is these are game changers. This is just a little right angle USB-C dongle that just goes on a regular cable like this and basically just makes it a right angle. The reason I like that is a lot of times if I'm in a tight space, instead of actually putting in a power cable like this where you got the bend radius, and if I'm behind basically a couch or a chair or something like that, I'm at a coffee shop and it's banging up against a table, it's so much easier just to take this little guy, and you got to watch the specs on these to make sure it's actually spec for the amount of power and the frequency. But yeah, really slim. And I do the exact same thing between my laptop. I've got one here that will pop into my USB coming out of my laptop, so I don't have that big loop hanging out, and it just conforms right to the side of my laptop. It pops in, and it's really kind of a slim configuration. So a few little tips there. These help a lot. So when you're kind of setting up your whole kit, if you have cables that are kind of like pushing out, think about getting these little right-hand connectors, because they make everything really clean. All right, so I'm gonna get this cleaned up and go ahead and put this all together and show you exactly how all this sets up. All right, so here we are. So this guy is completely set up. Again, this is my mobile office. Got my headphones, glasses, MX Master, and it is a clean, perfect setup. And right now, other than plugging in the USB into the wall, this is my setup. All right, nice little mouse pad, and I can work remotely from anywhere. Now, do I take all of this with me to like a Starbucks or something? No. Do I take it to a co-working space? Most likely, yes. A lot of times when I'm just doing at a Starbucks or something, I'll still take the mouse. Maybe I'll take the mouse pad, but usually just the laptop, my Bose headphones, and a lot of times I'll just leave basically, like I said, sometimes the mouse pad and the external monitor, the second monitor, I'll leave that basically at the Airbnb, the hotel or something, if I'm just running out to like a coffee shop and I just want to work on a laptop for a little bit. But for a full-on, if I'm day trading, if I'm working on videos and I want multiple screens, this is my multiple screen setup that I have on the road. Okay. So now with that, as promised, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I connect up basically the laptop here to my home setup and how really quick it is. And I want to point out a couple features too that, again, I'm really a big fan of these Legion laptop series, and I'll show you why here in just a second. So let me throw my glasses on for a second. I'm going to close this, pop that cable off, and you'll see in a second here, and this makes it so nice. This guy just folds down. There's that. And here, I'll kind of point this out for a second. So I do have a dongle. I can connect it Bluetooth, but I tend to like the connecting with the dongle. A couple things I want to point out here on the Legion Slim. And if Lenovo, if you are listening, I highly recommend you add this. So these little feet here, I purchased these just on, I forget it was Shopee or Lazada. You can get these on Amazon, but basically they're just these little tiny laptop feet that have 3M tape that sticks down, and you can either put this down and have it sitting up really high, or you can pull out, and this is what I tend to do, is I will just pull out the little feet and I'll leave it like that. That way it gives me a little bit of an angle, but what I really like about it is it keeps basically, this is all ventilation, so it keeps a lot of ventilation going to the laptop. That way I'm not, worried about any overheating issues or anything, and it doesn't get the laptop really hot. It just it moves a lot of air that way. But these little feet I added, so definitely a quick tip if you're looking at laptops and stuff and it's not sitting at the angle that you want. Find yourself a couple of these little feet, and yeah, this one, like I said, it's got the dual options, either tall or short, and it just fit perfectly. And what's nice too is it is flush in line with the other little built-in bumpers that they have, so it doesn't really stick out, which was again something I was looking for. Another thing I'm a big fan again of the Legion series is they do it both on their standard gaming laptops as well as the Slim model. This is what they call the Slim. And they actually have a lot of your connectivity on the back side of the laptops. So I still have two USB-C ports over here. I've got my audio connections, so microphone, speakers, and I'll show you. I actually do use that here. And on this side, I've got a full-size SD card reader, and then a little switch here that actually physically I can turn on or off my camera for the webcam on here. But most of the connectivity is going to be back here. So I've got power, I've got HDMI, and then I got three USB-C, USB-A 3.0 connections back here. So, and the rest of this is basically just ventilation. All right. So that's what I love about this style of laptop, and I'll show you why here in a second. If I come over here, All right, so let me go ahead and zoom in here for a second and threw some extra lights on here so you can see. But basically, this is my laptop tray. Now, one thing I did here is I added, I'll unplug that for a second, that's gonna pop up, is I went ahead and added this little fan tray. It's basically what you would just have on a desk. It's got USB on it to power the fans. But what I found is with this little tray, I can just slip him in here. And what I had to do is extend the bolts here, and then I just got some little rubber bumpers that I got at the hardware store on the top. So this guy locks in like that, like it would wrap around your regular laptop. But I extended this, so now my laptop bumps up against here, and then this has, you know, all kinds of some padding and stuff like that to kind of hold it there. But when I take my Lenovo Legion, I just stick them right on here. And the first thing I do is since I have monitor speakers right here, I just have a simple audio jack that I'll just plug into the side, and that'll just plug right in. And then I just reach behind the speaker and turn on the powered bookshelf speakers. And now that's super simple. The other thing I've got, and show you right here, is, again, here's all the port connectivity. This guy was plugged in here, little 4-port hub, and what I've got connected in here is just the power, again, to run these fans here. I've got a full-size keyboard that I have on my desk, and then my full-size MX Master 3 mouse. That's also, that little dongle is plugged in here. So I just take one connection there, plug that in. I was mentioning before about the HDMI, which runs to my 32-inch MSI monitor. That just plugs in. This is the power brick, and I have just everything down here basically on a little cable wrap, little cable tie. And this is the main power brick that just plugs in. And then I have one last thing is down here I have my docking station for any hard drives and stuff, and I just plug that right in, and that's it. This is my setup right here. It's that simple. I come home, all right, I basically plug in 4 cables back here, I plug in one on the side, and I'm up and running. And now all I gotta do is hit the power button here. It turns on everything. You know, a power button on the monitor, power button on here. Everything turns on, and it knows when it's in this configuration that this monitor is the primary monitor, so it'll make this as primary. But when I have this set up just by itself with the secondary small monitor, it knows that small monitor is the secondary, so it'll use as primary. So it's just the way it works really well. All right, my friends, I hope this video helped and kind of showed you just some ideas of how you can set your own kind of travel mobile office setup and give you some tips on just kind of how I do it on the road. But yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment section. Again, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, my friends.